Rev up your engine! This is an '05 Toyota Solara. Now, they only made it for about 9 years in the United States. Why'd they stop making them? Were they good cars or bad cars? You're going to find out right now. Now, this is the second generation Solara convertible. It was made in Kentucky. The first generation was made in the same place as my Matrix, Cambridge, Ontario. But as for convertibles, the Kentucky one is better. They strengthened the body and frame. The original ones were a little bit bouncy. These have a better frame structure to them. If you really want a convertible, you want one made in Kentucky, not one made in Canada. The Canadians did a good job building them, but it's a better design on the later model ones like this. It's basically a Camry, but they cost a lot more than the Camrys. And of course, convertibles, they always cost a little bit more, but they do hold their value. But here's one thing you'd want to check out if you're buying one. First and second generations had 4 cylinders and V6s. This is probably the best one. It's a variable valve timing 3.3 liter V6. The only downfall is it is old, so it's got a rubber timing belt and you got to change it every 100,000 miles. Being a convertible, it's a heavier car. A lot of people think, why are convertibles heavier? They got a rag top that's made not out of metal. It's because they got to make the body stronger to take the flex, so they weigh more. You really don't want one of these with a 4-cylinder engine. You want it with a V6 engine. Saying that, I've only ever seen one that somebody bought that had a 4-banger. All the ones I worked on had V6 engines, which are plenty enough power to get it around. Being a heavy vehicle, they're not great on gas mileage. It probably averages 24 or something like that on a highway. They're not gas mileage cars. They're convertible, fun to drive around. And they're quite zippy, as you'll see when we take it for a road test. He only paid $6,800 for it in this crazy market, and it had 78,000 miles on it when he bought it. So people think, oh, that's expensive. It's a Toyota. It's a convertible. It's going to last a really long time. And that actually, even today, is a really good deal. Usual headlight fogging up. They did put cheaper headlights that were. You can polish them or you can do like I did. And just buy aftermarket lenses. This particular lens cost $50 6 years ago and it still looks fine. And do realize that some of these get power steering leaks, so check the racks where the boots are to see if they are leaking, because sometimes they need replacing, but of course it's all replaceable. And basically, being a Toyota Camry, there's parts up the wazoo aftermarket you can buy for these things. Companies that make convertibles, they make specialized parts, you got to go to them. This is basically a Camry. Most of the parts are totally interchangeable. Still got the factory wheels, alloy, and they're still in pretty good shape. You can see you got seat covers. So many seat covers are good seat covers. Save a lot of money. Obviously, not too many people sit in the back because they don't need seat covers. They're still in excellent shape. This car did come with leather seats, and leather seats will wear. They'll tear, they'll stain. And of course, if you're really into leather, you could do them over if you want. They look fine with seat covers, you ask me, but you can always do them over if you really want to. Now, you might think, hey, this thing's old. This thing's 17 years old. Let's get the computer and see what kind of shape it's in. Get our little $219 X tool, scan tool out. That really blows me away. And we'll stick this up here. It's called a PS701 Pro. Now, it only does Japanese cars. That's all it does. But hey, for $219, what it does is insane. Got a diagnosis? No, there's no stored codes. We scanned it for that. Let's go back. We'll look at live data. See what kind of shape this thing is in. Now, the long-term fuel trim you can see is 8.6. So it's running a little bit lean. It's 8.6. Probably because I'm guessing the fuel injectors are a little bit dirty. It runs okay. And you can see the ignition timing is pretty much stable, 19.5. The timing belt really isn't worn because it's nice and stable. If the timing belt was worn, it'd be wobbling around and the timing would be going all over the place, but it isn't. So that's in good shape. Mass airflow sensor, that's good. It's 3.03 grams per second. It's a 3.3 liter engine. That could probably do with a little cleaning too. That could help it. Because it should be a little bit more grams per second. If it has less, it's going to run lean. If it has more, it's going to run rich. Lean's always better. That means that a car runs fine. It just needs a little bit more fuel because things are getting a little bit dirty from age. And you can see the fuel trim, 99.2 and 99.2. It's only 0.8% from perfection. So that's pretty good for a car this old. So as you can see, it's an old car, but it's in excellent shape. No codes. Yeah, it runs a little bit lean, but some fuel injection cleaner will often help that. You never can get perfection. And really, check this out. It's idling. We'll put it in gear. Does the engine shake? No, it doesn't shake anymore. Yeah, it doesn't shake at all. So there's really nothing wrong. It's just running a little bit lean, mainly from old age. It's an old car, there's no backup camera, but hey, it's smooth. See, this has got the same mahogany as my wife's Lexus. It's definitely nicer than a Camry. And this is an old car. It has had the struts replaced once. And really, for this crappy Rhode Island road here, it doesn't ride that bad. It's much smoother than some of the newer cars that I get on. These are heavy cars, but all that weight tends toward a smoother ride. It's got a big enough wheelbase, a lot bigger than a Corolla, that it's going to ride and handle a lot better than a Corolla too. It's got plenty of acceleration. You can barely feel the transmission shift. It's a really nice convertible. And of course, it's a Toyota. The electric rag top still works on the convertible. The air conditioning, everything still works. They just stopped making these. It was a marketing mistake by Toyota to market it at this price point. And they never were into convertibles anyway. The owner just informed me last year the AC was cold here, but lukewarm there, so he watches my videos and he went to Walmart and got some refrigerant and put it in himself. Lots of stuff you can do yourself. You can tell by listening. Listen to the door. This is a solid car. This is not a little tinny car. It's a heavy car, it's solid. Check out the difference. Definitely a lot tinnier. It works though. Yeah, they stopped making these cars, right? They made them for 9 years, sold them in the United States, and then they decided, hey, we're not going to make it anymore. They started in Cambridge, Ontario, then they went to Georgetown, Kentucky, and then they said we're not going to make them anymore. Of course, everybody's nuts about SUVs, so they're making all the SUVs that have a higher profit margin. And in its time, its price, they started convertibles like at 40 grand up. That was too much money for what their market could bear. And convertibles, let's face it, they're a dying fad. One, people want 4 doors. It's only got 2. It's just a dying fad, and Toyota decided they weren't making enough money, so they stopped making them. But in this case, 6800, he's got an excellent vehicle. Now, he did buy it from an old lady who was the original owner. That's what everybody's looking for. She wouldn't give him any information about the car. You know, old people can be strange. He doesn't really need it. Now that he's brought it to me, I found all the information. It doesn't need anything done to it. A nice convertible at a very good price, bought from a little old lady. And now you know why they don't make Solaras anymore, and why, if you want to buy a used one, especially a low mileage one, it can be a really smart move. And here's some bonus questions and answers. Well, says I have low fuel supply. I got a 2004 Suzuki gasoline car. It runs fine, then it jerks. Mechanic says fuel supply is reduced after driving. No overheating. I changed the oil, changed the fuel filter. Help. Well, you probably need a new fuel pump. Some mechanic is an idiot. Put a pressure tester on the machine. The fuel rail, you change the filter. You can't check the fuel pressure until you change the filter, because a clogged filter could give you low pressure, and it's the filter, not the pump. But you already changed the filter. Pressure test the fuel pump. You probably need a new fuel pump. As they age, they'll start up and run for a few minutes, but then the pump's old, it's electric, it overheats, and then it doesn't pump enough fuel. It could also be a bad fuel pressure regulator, and any mechanic can pressure test it. Find a mechanic. I guess in India, you know, very good mechanics. The guy obviously doesn't know what the heck he's doing, or he doesn't have the equipment to test it. It's easy enough to test. Start there. Rick Bauer says, I got a problem hooking up my battery cable on a Toyota T100. I went to get a battery, but the cables wouldn't reach the post. The positive post towards the front on the left side, the battery post, I cleaned it and put the battery on, and now they're tight. They don't fit right. What could be wrong? All right, here's the thing. Realize Toyota batteries are often backwards to the American batteries. They'll have like negative positive, and the Americans will be positive negative. So a lot of people put the wrong battery in a Toyota. You get the right one, it fits in correctly. If you get like a Ford one, it will work in the car. It has the same ratings and stuff, but the posts are reversed on the battery, so the cables won't reach it. I've seen that so many times. My advice is go back and get the correct battery. Forget you got one that's got the posts on the wrong side. They make the same exact batteries, only some are positive negative and some are negative positive. You want to get the ones that are right size so they'll fit on, you won't have any problems. So if you never want to miss another one of my new car repair videos, remember to ring that bell.